Okay, so to start the day, just to let everybody know, this is a homework. We're on the back side of the homework assignment, this problem right here. Well, a couple things we know. One, for starters, how many sides does this polygon have? 4 sides. So if it's 4 sides, that means the sum of the angles, sum of the interior angles adds up to how many degrees? Who wants to take a guess? Close. That's it. So the sum of the interior angles, if it was a triangle, we're going to talk about that one in a moment for the 180. But if it's quadrilateral, 4 sides, quadrilateral. That's 360. So then what's going to happen is for a problem like this. Yeah. What you need to do, it's similar to one of those problems on the notes. Basically, you're going to have to take the 4 numbers or 3 numbers plus the missing value, and you're going to set that equal to what number? Yep. That's your setup. So there was a problem on the notes that was very similar to this problem here. At this point, I'm not going to tell you anything else. That's your hint to solve for x. Oh, actually, you can put it up here. You might have more room. But this is your hint to solve for x. Okay, at this point, phones should be away. Thank you. So 4 sides, quadrilateral. Sum of the interior angles is 360. So I'll give you that part, but you need to find x. So I told you what you had to do. All right. Are we ready to move on? Because I want to talk about the next problem. Problem immediately to our right. All right. I'm getting ready to move on. All right. This one here. Well, how many sides do we see? 5 sides. This one's going to be a little different, but not by much. The sum of the interior angles, what you need to do is the following. Your general formula, if you want the sum of the interior angles of any polygon, so actually we'll go back to this. So n equals 5 for 5 sides. And then the general rule is what I'll write the general rule. Sum of interior angles. This is a general rule. Equals, you take your number of sides minus 2 and multiply by 180. Well, how many sides do we have? How many sides do we have for this problem here? So then it's 5 minus what number? And after that, we multiply by? Okay. So really quick, when we do the math, what would we get? You get 540, right? So then, what must the sum of these 5 angles add up to be? Sum of the 5 angles has to add up to how many degrees? 540. So I'll be nice. I'll give you another setup. So it's 118. That's from the very top. Plus 105. Sorry, the 118 is all the way on the top. I mean, you should be able to see it on your paper. Plus 130. Plus x equals. What's that? What's the overall going to be equal? What's that number in red?
540.
Yep, it's going to equal 540. So that should help you as you solve for x. I know we didn't have too much time to deal with these problems, but figure with the combination of the last 4 slides in the previous packet plus this information, you should have no problems doing this homework. So 5 and 6, you have your hints. Now 7 and 8 are going to be a little more involved. Okay, anybody have any questions on number 5? I mean number 6, I'm sorry, before we go to 7 and 8. Anybody have any questions? Make sure you're writing this down. I mean, I'm going to post this. But please write this down. All right. Now, number 7. Somebody said it earlier. Well, what shape do we see? Triangle. So 3 sides. So, well, we don't have to talk about it too much, but what must the sum of these 3 angles add up to be? Yeah, that one is a slam dunk. This one's going to involve a little more work because you have a triangle. Well, here's the deal. When you do this problem, you're going to have to do some combined like terms. So the x minus 27 plus x minus 17 plus 2x equals 180. That's going to be your setup. Now for this type of problem, does anybody remember what we need to do with the x's and the integers? Well, I'll give you a hint. Do we still need these parentheses? You don't need them, so I'm going to take them away. But to solve this problem, 3 words. Combine. Well, be careful before you do any combine like terms. You got to combine the like terms. So for this problem, which terms are like terms? Yep, the x, the second x, and the 2x. So even though you don't see it, there's a 1 here, a 1 there. So how many x's do we have altogether? Now, what about the negative 27 and the negative 17? I'm going to keep this consistent. So, yeah, you have a 4x. Right now, the negative 27 and the negative 17 are on the same side. So what do we do with those 2 integers? Well, they don't have x's, but can we still combine them? What do we get? Positive or negative? So, since you're on the same side, just combine them, and you get negative. So negative 40. So it's 4x minus 44 equals 180. Now, I'm not going to go beyond there. Yep, so basically, you combine like terms here. Again, this questions. Okay, then the last one before we start new stuff. This one here. Number 8. Well, how many sides do we see? 6 sides. So we need to figure out the sum of the interior angles. Again, just like before. That's sum of the interior angles, n minus 2 times 180. I want you all to do that math real quick. What's our grand total? Okay, 720. Then you're going to have to take these 6. I'm not going to go beyond here. You're going to have to take these 6 expressions or numbers. So let's see, 140, 105, 130. I'm just going to write that here. Plus x plus 5 plus x minus 5 plus x plus 30 equals 720. And then, of course, like before, we need to do what? We did it in the previous problem. We had to combine like terms. All right. At this point, I'm going to stop with this. I'm not going to go any further. You have to combine your like terms. Again, the x's go away. Well, actually, I should say, how many x's do we see? All right, so it's going to be 3x plus, okay, add all your numbers or integers. Add them up. You get 3 x's in total. 1, 2, 3. Then add up your numbers. Yeah, all the other ones. 140, 105, 130, positive 5, negative 5. Well, what's really going to happen with the positive 5 and the negative 5? They're just going to, yeah, they're going to cancel out. So basically, you're just adding 375. All right, that makes sense. 104, 105, 140, 105, 130. That's 375, but you also have A. So how much total? 405. This last one, right here. That's why we got to be careful. In fact, I almost didn't see it. So it's going to be 3x plus 405. That equals 720. All right. From here on out, I'm not going to do anything else. So I want some of the angles. So I gave you some of the angles. I have enough information to get the x. Now, the very bottom two we're going to go over today in some way, shape, or form. So the bottom two, don't worry about. We're going to talk about those. Those are actually going to be some of the easier problems. Then on the front, I already told you what you had to do on the front. So, all right, questions on problems 5, 6, 7, 8 on your homework. More than likely, this is going to be the last homework assignment of the quarter. All right. Now, in the front real quick. I've already given you the information. Here's how you're going to make your life very easy. Whatever you get here, use this formula to get this number. And then to get this final number down here, all you're doing is going to take this number and divide it by the number of sides. So sum of interior angles, divide by the number of sides. So if you want to get this last one, take this number and divide it by that one. That's all you're doing. So if you want, I'll show you real quick. Well, how many sides do we count up here? All right. Then you follow this step right here. Do the 10 minus 2 times 180. What would you get? So this is n. And take n minus 2 times 180. Anybody get a value? 1440. All right. And here's how you're going to make this last one very easy. What you're going to do, take the 1440. If you want to put a fraction bar, put that 10 underneath to get this last number down here. That's all you have to do. So basically, and that's going to be for the first four. Whatever number you get here, then this is a fraction bar. Divide these two numbers, and you get that last one. So whatever you get when you divide these two numbers, that's your final result. Anybody have any questions? So yeah, you divide 1440 by 10. What do you get? What do you get when we divide these two numbers? That's all. There you go. We're done. And that's how you do the other three. You can get this one. The other three are that easy. All right. At this point, homework. I've given you enough clues. Should have no problems knocking this homework out. All right, now we're going to talk about what's on the agenda for today. Now, again, the very last two, we're going to deal with these two types of problems today. So at this point, homework and the slide, and those last 4 slides, put them away. We're not going to deal with them for the rest of the period, and we're going to put phones away as well. Also, again, for anybody who showed up late, you see a green sticky. You're going to write yes or no to the following question. Did you complete a Unit 6 test? You're going to write yes or no on that sticky. All right, and then write your names. Okay, that's fine. Now just leave it on the table. We're going to get them later. Leave them on the table. We'll get them later. Now, here's what we're going to... Let's go... Not to there. All right, let's go to the top. I'm going to get rid of that one. This is going to be a graded note activity. We're going to start it today. We're going to finish it next time. So you need to bring it. And if anybody who's absent, or if you see anybody who's absent, I know there's a couple people out with testing, what have you, or they're just absent, need to tell them they need to take care of these notes. They're going to be graded note activity. So you might want to write down graded note activity on your notes. So if you haven't done so, do it now. All right. We're going to begin. Now, some of these slides are going to be similar to some previous rules from back in the day. For example, remember our 2 parallel lines from earlier this year, like in Unit 1 and 2? We're going to be dealing with them in some way, shape, or form. Again, I promise. Do we remember like alternate interior, alternate exterior, consecutive, linear pair, vertical angles? Do we remember those from way back when? Do you remember them too, Dennis? Okay, because I see you looking there when you should be looking there. The last time I checked, what's here is more important than what's outside right now. All right, Cindy, you got that too? Okay, making sure. I see too many of us playing with those phones. Remember, they're not going to help you on that test. They're not helping your grade. All right, another rule. Anytime you have an isosceles triangle, whatever 2 sides are congruent, their opposite angles are also congruent. So, yep, here, boom. Those angles are going to be congruent. So this side's congruent to that side. Their opposite angles are also congruent. We're going to be dealing with that again in some way, shape, or form. Again, you don't need to do this. Don't have to write anything down. If you want to, I'm good with it. Another rule from back in the day. Anytime you have a midpoint, it bisects the overall line segment. So here's your overall line segment. These two sides are going to be equal to each other. And then whatever you get on one side of the line segment, of the overall line segment, the other side's going to be the exact same. So once you know this side, you know that side, and then you know the overall thing. We're going to be dealing with that as well in one way, shape, or form today. And again, next class, and probably for the rest of Unit 7. You got a midpoint. It's going to act like a bisecting point. All right. Right angle. It's part of a right triangle. Pythagorean theorem. And that's going to be important when we deal with especially rectangles and squares. The rules involving when we deal with rectangle and a square, rectangle and a square, these corners are going to be 90 degrees. All right, part 5. This is a fill in the blank. This is what I mean when you're following part of your grade. I have 3 angles of a triangle. What's the total sum of their interior angles? All right, so you should fill that in at 180. You should write that somewhere next to that word degrees, right? 180. Again, those are rules that we already know. We should know. All right, questions on that rule? These are things that we should know for today. But we're going to see them again today. Is that right, Norcus? All right. Let's start talking about some new stuff. Parallelograms. Here's an example of a parallelogram. Opposite sides are parallel. They're never going to touch. And also, that means their opposite sides are congruent. Also, opposite angles are congruent. You need to know which 2 angles are opposite, they're congruent. Now, the consecutive angles are supplementary. That means they add up to 180. So, it means the 2 angles going up and down, or the 2 angles going right to left. They're supplementary, consecutive. That means they're next to each other. Consecutive numbers or consecutive wins, right? Back to back, next to each other. That's sort of the same thing here. This angle and this angle, they're consecutive because, let's say, driving up the road. Okay, there's the first angle, second angle. Or if you're driving this way, same thing. First angle, second angle. They're consecutive. Those are the 2 things you see in a row. And then last but not least, the diagonals. That's something new. I'm going to show you what the diagonal will look like. diagonal, gonna look like this. Line going diagonally across. And then you're gonna have another one that looks like this. Let me use this. Then this point right here acts like a midpoint. When they meet right here, so basically, this midpoint right here bisects this diagonal, two smaller congruent pieces. This diagonal is also bisected into two smaller congruent pieces. So that's what we have going on here. 1, 2, 3. And then, of course, this guy and this guy are going to be congruent as well. I'm not going to fill out the whole diagram because then it's going to get too messy. But these are going to be rules we're going to have to deal with in and out throughout the rest, at least through today, maybe next class. We're going to deal with some similar rules next time as well. All right, any questions before we go on? And I didn't, so I'll let you all take a moment as I finalize attendance. Yeah. Bring that up here. I need to make sure. And number 2. Hey, whatever you miss, you get from neighbor. All right, we're gonna move on. Actually, let's look at the first slide before we get back to it. But given those rules, I want you to think about AD, DC, measure of angle A, B, and C. I want you to think about, given what I told you, what might be the measurements of these two sides and these three angles. So work on that for like a minute. Should have had you all do that. Work on that real quick. Think about the rules that I just told you. All right. So who wants to take a guess? This side from A to D. What do you think the side from A to D would be? Who wants to take a guess? Why 8? Yup. AD is 8 because BC is 8. They're congruent. What about DC? How come? What's that? Okay, and also because their sides are, since they're opposites, they are. That's right. Okay, those two are the easy ones. What about our angles? Well, do we have to do ABC in order? No. So out of the three angles, which one would right away be the easiest one to solve? A, B, or C? B. Why B? D is 68. So that means B is 68 as well because B and D are, yeah. And they're also congruent because they are opposite angles. All right. Now, who would like to take a guess as to what angles A or C? Well, let me say first, will angle A and angle C be congruent? Yeah, angle A and angle C are going to be the same. So I'll tell you that right now. So if you get angle A, you have angle C, or vice versa. Now, next question. I have these two angles that form a line. What would the sum of these two angles either going down the line or left to right? What must the sum of those two angles add up to be? Think of a line, linear angle, 180. So we have to figure out what number plus 68 gives us a grand total of 180. So that's what we need to do. Or similarly, same number plus whatever, plus 68 gives us. So what do we have to do to the 180 and the 68 to get that missing number? What operation? And subtract, multiply, huh? Yeah, what two numbers are you subtracting? That's all you do. So it's 180 minus 68. That's how you're going to get that other number. So what is 180 minus 68? Exactly. So angle C is 112. That means angle A is also how many degrees? Angle C is 112, then angle A is also 112. Okay, questions? Anybody have any questions? Yeah, wait till he comes back. All right. I'm going to leave this problem up. I want you to try the next one on your own. In the meantime, we're going to start collecting those stickers. Okay. Here's all. Can I get that? So work on that next one. Use this as a helper. Oh, I'm going to take this picture. Okay. Go to the next problem. So if you want to make your life easier, you want to, can I borrow yours for a second? Spread them out like eagle wings to help you get that next problem. And I thank you all for your help with this. And whoever said no about a unit test, today or tomorrow after school, I'm available. So I'll probably more than likely be in the room 2 doors down in Miss Muse's room. That's where I normally am after 8th period on black days. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Given help from this problem, all right, what are we going to do to get these guys? So, JK, did anybody get a value for JK? 21, very good. What about KL? Yup. Remember so far, across, up and down. Okay, what about now out of angle JK or M? Which one's the easiest to find out of JK or M? Which angle out of those three is going to be the easiest one to find? Look at that diagram. J, you're right, Noe. What will angle J be? Yeah, because they're close. J and L are going to be 127. Now, given what we learned earlier, for angle, now will angle K and angle M be the same number? Same angle measured. All right, who thinks they know what those two angle measures are going to be? They're going to be 53 apiece because they're going to be 53. The reason being, what was the rule? Yup. Reason why we get those two? This is going to be 180 minus 127. So that's something to know. That's how you're going to get that final. That's how you're going to get that final answer. Remember, opposites are congruent. Consecutives add up to 180. So if you need to write that down somewhere, opposite angles are congruent. Consecutive angles add up to 180. So if you need to write that down somewhere, write it down somewhere. Questions, anybody? Forgot my degree symbol, but these are things, these are rules you have to know. When we're dealing with parallelograms, dealing with rectangles, rhombus. Well, rhombus and square are going to be slightly different, but not by much. They're going to have similar rules. All right. Questions again before we continue. Well, I should also say, besides opposite angles, I could say opposite angles or opposite what else are congruent? Begins with an S. Sides. You might want to add the word sides in because these clues are going to help us for the next couple of problems. So you just don't forget angles with slash sides. All right. Go. Let's look at this problem here. Solve for x, 9x minus 25, 5x plus 7. Okay, what's the one thing we know right away? And then I'll give you all a moment or two to try this out. What do we see? Could tell us what we see for this problem. Cindy. Okay, what do we see with these two sides? They are. Begins with an O. So they're opposite sides. That means they are. Who can help her out? Opposite sides are congruent. So what can we say the relationship between the 9x minus 25 and the 5x plus 7? They're equal. Bingo. He's right. Opposite sides are congruent. That means you set 9x minus 25 equal to 5x plus 7. I want you all to solve for x. I want you to try to solve for x. Give you all a minute or two. Four x minus 25 equals 7. Okay, what's next? Who can tell us what's next for this? Yep, so we have to add 25 to both sides. Again, this is algebra 1. So we do that. So we're left with 4x equals, well, what's 7 plus 25? 32. And then what would be the last step? By what number? Just by the 4, yup. Divide both sides by 4. Okay, by now we should be getting this. If you're not sure how to solve these equations, you need to tell me, because you're going to see that again in both whatever next class you take. Questions, anybody? All right. Here we go. Next problem. Get ready. If there's no questions on this one, we're going on to the next one. Okay, now this one's 2 parts. First, you need to solve for the variable. Then you need to solve for the specific angle. Now, sometimes they're going to do that. They're going to say, you get the variable. Then you need to determine the value of which specific side or angle. All right, for this problem, well, what do we know about these 2 angles? Angle A and angle C, they are what type of angles? Well, are they consecutive or are they opposites? Look at our diagram. Angle A and angle C are what type of angles? Opposite or consecutive? Huh? So that means they are? Yup. Thank you, Transito and Noe. You guys are right. Somebody's still out? And then, is it okay if she goes before you get your water? All right. If it's okay. Those 2 are equal to each other. Opposite angles are equal. Opposite angles are congruent. So that means angle A is equal to angle C. So that means our setup is the following. 6x minus 15 is equal to 4x plus 11. Now, I want you to try to solve this on your own. I'll give you a couple minutes. Okay, who could tell us what was our value of x? Anybody? Who got the value of x? And then the measure of angle A, you got to plug 13. Well, even though it looks like that M LA, but it's measure of angle A. Give me 1 second. All right. Don't forget, you have to do that part too. So you're there and back. You gotta hurry. All right, so you got it. All right, so anybody get that angle A? 63 degrees. All right. Most importantly, who's not sure how we got the 13? You need to speak up. If you're not sure how we got the 13, you have to say something. Because if you know how we got it, we're going to go on. But if you don't know, you have to talk. Because I think going forward, this stuff we should know. There should be no excuse getting here. I mean, you got to do minus 4x. And then you add that 15. Oops, no, don't add yet. Okay. So 2x is 26, and then of course divide by 2. Okay, so that going forward, I should not have to really do these types of problems anymore. All right, and then of course take your 13, put it here, 6 times 13, minus 15. All right, questions? All right, next one I want to talk about is the following. These two types of angles. Well, first off, are P and Q opposite angles or they're consecutive angles? Consecutive. So you have consecutive angles. So that means what? What's the relationship with angle P and angle Q? They're not equal. What else do we know? If they're consecutive, that means they're supplementary. That's right. They're supplementary. So they're supplementary. That means angle P and angle Q do what? Huh? They add up to 180. That's the thing. Angle P and angle Q add up to 180. That's what we have going on here. All right, now, do we need the parentheses? We don't. But what do we need to do? You see, more than two terms. We need to, into the C, 3 words, finite terms. So in this case, what terms can we combine? Oh, you got to hurry up. Take a dive, you're there and back. Whatever you miss, you got to get from a neighbor. So what do we have to do? What terms can we combine? 3x plus 8x. And then you have the plus 5 and the minus 12. But what is 3x plus 8x? What's 3 plus 8? 11. Right now you have 11x because they're on the same side. What about positive 5 and negative 12? You have calculators. What's 5 minus 12? Huh? We should be using our calculators. I don't know why we're looking up in the sky, looking at something. What type of 7? Negative 7. Again, this is just combining like terms. And then, of course, now we're at a point. Can we solve for the x? All right, what 2 steps? What do we do? Add 7. $11x is 187. And then what do we have to do to get the x by itself? Divide by. Yup. So therefore, x is what number? What's 187 divided by 11? Again, you should be writing this down. You should know this. If x is 17, now are we finished with this problem? Have we finished this problem? No. What do we have to do? Find the angle measurements. That's right. So for angle P, so angle P, three times 17 plus 5. What do we get when we take care of the order of operations? 3 times 17. And then plus 5. What's that final total? How many degrees? You guys should know, you all should know this by now. In fact, you could type this expression into the calculator. 3 times 17 plus 5. What you get? There you go. Wasn't that bad, right, Eric? No. He said it wasn't bad at all. Do the same thing up here. Angle Q. Eight times blank minus 12. There's your angle Q. Anybody get an angle measure for angle Q? 124. 8 times 17 will be 136 minus 12, 124. There you go. Was that too bad? Was that hard? Not too hard, right? All right, questions on this problem? All right. We're going to do one more. And we're going to probably stop. So let's at least get to this next slide. Questions on this problem here? You got, Dennis, did you get all that information? All right, good. Because remember, this is graded notes, everybody. All right, real quick with this next problem. That's what we're going to do. Now, remember, this point right here is a midpoint. So remember, this splits this entire segment into two equal smaller segments. Same thing. This one splits this entire one into two smaller segments. Now, let's real quick with the first few. All right, UT is down here. UT is opposite which side? So just look at a regular polygon. I wanted it. Nope. How you doing, Ms. Edwards? Good morning. No, you're good. Oh, no, you're all right. All right, forget that. Let me get rid of that first parallelogram because that's not going to work. All right, real quick. UT is right across from RS. Opposite sides are congruent. So if RS is 27, I'm sorry, this is not going to work as well as I thought. Pretend that they're congruent. RS is 27. That means UT is also, huh? Yeah, UT. UT is 27. Now, ST is going to be 18. Because that's across from RU. Now, let's talk about the smaller stuff. Here, point V is your midpoint between U, V, and VS. So from U to V is 7. That means V to S is also 7. Because for this problem, if you want to make it, break it down. As we said, this point right here is a midpoint. So U to V is 7. V to S has to also be 7. Now VT is what happened. Which one? Well, I don't even know why you're talking on the phone.
No, I said I was talking to my phone.
Well, you shouldn't be talking to your phone.
Because Siri came on.
All right, well, Siri shouldn't even be on. Okay, we said the entire distance from R to T was 30, right? But this is a midpoint right here. So what's half of 30? There you go. So VT is 15. And these are going to be the types of clues we're going to be talking about starting next time. Next time, we really didn't talk too much about it, but the next problems, we're going to start dealing with like names of angles. Remember, angles are like road maps. First letter is where you start. The middle letter is where you turn. Third letter is your final destination. And then all the triangle rules, along with your parallel, alternate interior, alternate exteriors, are going to be coming into play. All right, so at this point, we're going to stop.